By Mattress Firm. The Patriots drubbed the Giants last night on Monday Night Football. They're currently atop the AFC. Lakers had a tough night. Were not able to win their 8th straight. Luka and the Lakers committed 21 turnovers into a Suns rout of the Lake Show. And the Kansas Jayhawks taking on UConn, one of the big college basketball games of the day. The Jayhawks will be without their star, Darren Peterson, who has missed the last couple weeks, the projected number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft. Need better sleep? Score huge deals on your perfect bed at Mattress Firm's Black Friday sale. Stop in today and let the sleep experts find the right upgrade for your unique needs. Mattress Firm, they make sleep easy.
Welcome to the Fletch Zone. Fletch Zone.
I'm Ben Fletcher. That's Sammy Long.
Into the Fletch Zone.
Not like other guys.
Sound off like you got a pair.
Looks like the Patriots are back.
Maye moves up, throws a long lob. There's separation there. The pass to Williams is perfect. Touchdown, Patriots.
The NFL weekend ends with a win over the Giants. Plus, the Lane train pulls into Baton Rouge.
The opportunity at LSU, as I said before, is just different. Someone very close to me reminded me this week that LSU is the best job in football.
We look ahead to tonight's matchup for San Diego State basketball. And those picks.
Drake Maye, more than 25.5 rush yards. Jackson Dart, more than 19 pass completions. Jaime Jaquez, more than 11.5 points.
What did he say?
Jaime Jaquez, more than 11.5 points. DeAndre Ayton, more than 13.5 points.
You're not curious? Just to try something new?
Guess some of the Thanksgiving anger is going to carry over.
I got to a point where I stopped talking to relatives in the fourth quarter. It was not a good holiday.
Now, live from the studios of San Diego Sports 760, we enter the Fletch Zone.
Yeah, let's get it going here on a Tuesday at San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock today. John and Jim will take over then. The misplaced anger of Sammy Long continues once again as his Chiefs let him down, as his Lakers let him down, as his prize picks, long shots, entry lets him down.
Last night was tough, not gonna lie.
Here we are on a Tuesday, and we got a lot to get to here. Maybe a new power in the NFL is returning from an old power. Maybe college basketball, their biggest star this year may not play a single game this year, and we'll see how everything unfolds here over the next couple of hours. But we got you for 2, so jump in any way you can on the free iHeartRadio app. Just search San Diego Sports 760. You'll find us there. You could leave us a talkback on the talkback mic.
Yeah,
which
send
is
us some talkbacks. We're playing them today.
The little red microphone icon, the top right-hand corner of the screen when you're listening to San Diego Sports 760. Of course, you could leave us comments on YouTube and X, at Fletch and Sammy on X, at San Diego Sports 760 on YouTube. Let's get right into it. Last night, the New England Patriots won a game within 10 minutes, which I didn't know was possible in the NFL, but that's exactly what the Patriots did last night. As Abdul Carter misses the first couple of drives for the Giants, and that's all the Patriots needed. They marched down the field a couple times, score a couple of early touchdowns. I think 30 of their 33 points they scored in the first half last night, as New York really didn't stand much of a chance, especially when you have kickers stubbing their toes in the dirt when they're trying to make a kick. But I guess fun game if you're a Drake Maye fan, if you're a Drake Maye believer, if you were one of those guys this past offseason that said the second-year breakout star of the NFL is going to be Drake Maye, he has proven that to be absolutely correct. And when you look at MVP standings and MVP arguments, it's hard to make a better one than the case that's already been made for Drake Maye and what he's been able to do this year. Now, I think this is the week in the NFL season, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Sammy, where there's a lot of overreactions that can be made. The Chiefs losing to the Cowboys. You could say, and I have said, oh, it looks like the Chiefs are going to miss the playoffs. I think that'd be a slight overreaction. The Eagles lose primetime Friday to the Bears. You could say, oh yeah, the Eagles have lost it. That may be a little bit of an overreaction. And then what's the other big one? The Patriots beating the crap out of the Giants last night. You could say, man, this Patriots team look like they're primed up for a Super Bowl. Maybe they are, but it feels like an overreaction to me as well. So here we go with the Drake Maye MVP argument, just hyping up in the biggest way possible. And the Patriots back to the Super Bowl, and the new power of dominance is coming back. It was the New York Giants who have had a broken season, who have a broken team. I don't think I'm going to overreact to that one too much. Sammy?
I want to give them their props because they've been a really good football team this year, and they have had some marquee wins. You went on the road and beat Tampa Bay. It all kind of started when they beat Buffalo in Buffalo earlier on in the year. That was kind of the first signature win they got. Yes, they have taken advantage of a little bit of a soft schedule. They're playing, I believe they finished third place, or last year, so they're playing a third place schedule, beating up on the Bengals a little bit with no Joe Burrow, beating up on the Giants, who the Giants have a super bright future, but I mean, no Malik Neighbors, no Cam Scatterbo, Abdul Carter's bench for the first quarter. I mean, it's just.
We got to talk about that. What are you doing meeting NFL players, sleeping through meetings and showing up late to meetings? Come on, Abdul Carter.
We'll take him on the Chiefs. If he can rush the passer, that's fine with me. That's there's not really much to look at as a defensive end. Just get after the QB. But yeah, like the Patriots are very good. That's what makes this AFC playoff picture and the NFC too, but really the AFC so interesting because there's a real possibility. I think the Ravens will end up making the playoffs. We'll see with the Chiefs. They got to win out. I think it's possible, but they certainly didn't make it easy on them. But if Lamar and Mahomes are out of the playoffs, and Josh Allen, in all likelihood, is going to be in the wild card going on the road, it's so hard to predict because, like, if you're going between if you're looking at the top of the AFC, so Drake May, Bo Nix, Daniel Jones, and the Colts look like they could be falling off, potentially missing the playoffs. Sauce Gardner injury, Daniel Jones hurt. You look at like Trevor Lawrence. Like, you look at the quarterbacks at the top of this thing, and who do you trust? Like, it probably of those quarterbacks, take Josh Allen out and Justin Herbert. I would probably trust Drake May certainly more than Bo Nix. I'd trust him at this stage more than Trevor Lawrence, though Trevor Lawrence has the ability to get there. That's what makes this playoff so interesting, is that you just don't really know. You haven't seen these guys in these situations, so someone could lay an egg. We could see a star is born. It's going to set up for a really big NFL playoffs.
I was having this conversation with a buddy last night while we were watching the Monday Night Football game, and we were talking about the AFC playoff picture, kind of breaking it down like you just did, Sammy, with the quarterbacks who are in, because we know after years and years and years of watching, the easiest way to get to a Super Bowl is have quarterback, head coach, ownership all be fantastic. And right now you look at the AFC and the quarterbacks who are in there, and there's only one team, in my opinion, that absolutely fits the criteria. That might be the Buffalo Bills. So
and they've looked vulnerable this year.
Right. When we take a bigger step back, say Lamar and Patrick Mahomes do both miss the postseason this year. Say the Buffalo Bills are a wild card team having to go on the road. Of the last few years where we all talk about the fact that Lamar and Josh Allen have the most pressure on them to get past the Kansas City Chiefs, has Josh Allen ever faced more pressure in a postseason than Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen aren't in that postseason?
No. Because if you're a Buffalo Bills fan and you don't have the Chiefs in the postseason, you're kryptonite. Lamar Jackson, who even though the Bills have gotten the better of in the postseason, still is Lamar Jackson. We'll see. Joe Burrow's gotten the best of Josh Allen in the postseason, but we'll see if he's even in. If there's a world where Joe Burrow, Mahomes, and Lamar all miss the postseason, and Josh Allen is what we all think he can be and has been during the regular season, if he doesn't go to a Super Bowl, if he doesn't, not even go to a Super Bowl, if he doesn't win a Super Bowl, because let's be honest, no one expects that Mahomes and Lamar and Burrow aren't going to be back in the postseason next year.
Right. Now imagine this. Josh Allen goes on the road for the first game this postseason and goes to Denver. And tell me that's an easy layup win. I could see that as like a 10-7 Broncos win in overtime.
And the way that the Bills are built, this is what gives me pause on the Bills. Because if Mahomes and Lamar are missing the playoffs, you go, okay, next logical choice, you're going with the best quarterback in the field, and that's Josh Allen. But of the last 3 years in Buffalo, I think this team is the most dependent on Josh Allen, James Cook being a superhero, and that can win you on any given Sunday. But is that going to win you 4 times going on the road when it doesn't go through Buffalo? I don't know. And they've already lost to the Patriots. We'll see that game again here in a couple weeks. It certainly, if they're missing the playoffs, Josh Allen has more pressure than anyone. It's not even close this postseason.
It's going to be fun. It is, especially if you're a Josh Allen hater like Sammy or a Josh Allen fan like myself. There's going to be plenty to talk about.
I'm not a Josh Allen hater. I'm just a realist.
You are a Josh Allen.
I speak the truth when he loses in the biggest games, and people want to ignore it constantly, but want to kill Lamar for the same things and Justin Herbert for the same things.
Josh Allen hater was a term that you could look up in the dictionary. It would just be a picture of Sammy Long cheesing with his thumbs.
I love Josh Allen and Brock Purdy because it's like a free win in the postseason. I get excited when I see them.
All right, let's get to the big 3 here of our number 1. Sammy's going to rip through the top stories in the world of sports. We were talking a lot about Drake May, by the way, former New England Patriot. His name's Big Rich Ornberger. He's going to be joining us in about 20 minutes to talk about Drake May and kind of tie a bow on the Aztecs football season. But Sammy, smash it.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? I mean, coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big 3.
I know this is kind of your thing, Sammy, but can I give a quick shout out to some folks I know are listening right now?
Yes.
About Champs Lounge.
Hey.
Off of Claremont Drive, a little dive bar, sports bar action. Got to hang out with Amber and Steve and a couple other people over there earlier today. What's going on?
Damn, when are we going for a beer?
We should. Cash only. I don't know. I don't carry
I like
cash
that. I
usually.
like that.
Cash only. It's got an old school jukebox, got some pool tables, got an awesome little pinball machine that TV was trying to set the high score on. He failed, but yeah, it's a cool spot.
Okay. Hell yeah, man. Shout out to them. All right, let's head to so Ben Johnson, the Bears, had an interesting comment today at his presser. He said,
was his shirt on or off?
His shirt was on during this.
Wow.
One.
Shocker.
So the Bears riding high atop the NFC, big win against the Eagles. Today at his press conference says the Bears are winning in spite of the passing attack. So kind of taking a shot at Caleb, well, directly taking a shot at Caleb Williams and the offense, saying they need to be better. They're winning in spite of them. Do you have reaction to those comments? Do you like Ben Johnson calling out the offense?
Look, there's going to be a clarification, I'm positive, from Ben Johnson here in the next couple of days when everyone says, hey, were you talking about Caleb Williams when you said that? And then he's going to have to walk back his answer a little bit. However, I don't disagree with him. The Bears played their best game of the season this past Friday against the Philadelphia Eagles. How did they win that game? What was the offensive approach, Sammy?
Running the football.
Run the ball right now.
2 rushers over 125 yards.
That's what it was. And look, it was a huge success. Manungai, fantastic. DeAndre Swift doing it against his old team, fantastic. But that's what it took. And if that's the Bears style, then credit to you. Plenty of teams have won Super Bowls by leaning on a rushing attack. But when you have a number 1 overall pick and you have a guy out of USC who was the second coming, right, heading into the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to need him to live up to expectations at some point, because at some point, that rushing attack, when you get into the NFL postseason, teams are going to game plan against it. And you're going to have to rely on Caleb to pick up a 3rd and 7 in a big moment. And can he do it? Ben Johnson just told you.
I'm always, everyone knows on this show, I'm a Caleb Williams supporter, but we have to be fair about it. His completion percentage has been bad. It's at 58%. And it's one of the worst in the league. It's actually worse than Cam Ward. It's a testament to how good Caleb can be that you see the splash plays, you see the plays, why he was taken number 1 overall. But to what you just said, Ben, this has been a lot, and trust me, Lamar Jackson is much better than Caleb Williams, so I'm not getting that misconstrued. But this has been the Ravens' problem in the postseason. The Ravens get there, and they're running over everyone. The read option is working, whether it was, all the running backs they've had between Derrick Henry and then in the past, Mark Ingram and everyone. At some point in the postseason, there's going to be a 4th and 5. There's going to be a 3rd and 12. And everyone knows you're passing, and you have to drop back and you have to get it. And that's what separates the big-time quarterbacks from the not big-time quarterbacks. And Lamar Jackson's a big-time quarterback. But it's almost done them a disservice that they haven't been put in these spots during the regular season, that then they get there, and it's almost like they panic. Caleb, there is going to be a spot in the postseason where Caleb's going to have a better completion percentage. I don't think the Bears are winning a Super Bowl or going to a Super Bowl. I think they're a really good story this year that could win a playoff game, maybe 2, depending on the matchup, and really kind of gearing up for next year. But I think it's a little unfair to go after the passing attack when the defense has been very turnover reliant.
Also, Ben Johnson, dude, you're the passing attack guy.
Right, like it's kind of odd.
That's your game. Phillip Rivers one time was on with Nick Hardwick and Judson Richards when I first started here, and he made that mention. He said, look, you can tell how good a quarterback is. Throw all the other stats out the window. What does he do in 3rd and 7? What does he do in for sure passing downs? And when you're getting blitzed, when
There's no trickery.
Steve Spagnuolo on the other side of you is going to be sending 5 or 6 guys at you, and you have to make that quick decision, that quick throw to get the first down. Look at the guy's completion percentage in those situations. You know if he could be an NFL quarterback or not.
Let's head to Tiger Woods, actually chipping and putting. Said his recovery has been very slow, but he's back chipping and putting and trying to get back on the tour. Question is this: do we need to see Tiger playing on the tour again?
This is tough for me, Sammy. I'll be honest. Tiger Woods may be my favorite athlete, period, ever. One of my favorite sports watching moments of my life was that 2019 Masters, his comeback.
Unbelievable.
I cried real tears during that. It was an incredible moment. Tiger Woods, we do not need to see him on tour ever again. And I mean that. I think that the best of Tiger is obviously behind us. Every time you see him try to make one of these comebacks now, and it feels like this is going to be the 5th or 6th one since that 2019 Masters, it looks awful. It looks painful to watch him walk the courses. And I don't think we need to see Tiger back. And his comments today, he's at the Hero World Challenge or whatever it's called. It's the kickoff for the PGA Tour, and it's his tournament. So he's up in front of the media, and they asked him point blank, hey, do you expect to play this year on tour? He said, yeah, 25 tournaments. And he was tongue in cheek. He was laughing about it. And he's like, look, I literally just got cleared to chip and putt. I'm dealing with my 11th surgery on the same area of my body, and it's going to take time. So I don't think we see Tiger this year, and I don't think we ever need to see Tiger again. I think in the position he's in now, which is the tour ambassador, has a real chance to save the game of golf. But you need Tiger in front of TV cameras. You need Tiger to not be in any car accidents anytime soon. And you need Tiger to kind of be the one who's pushing this game forward when a lot of people are trying to tear it down.
Tyler says he wants to see him on the senior tour. Listen, Tiger Woods feel the same way. I mean, one of the most iconic athletes, regardless of sports, we've ever seen, and transformed the sport of golf. And we don't need to get into Tiger's legacy. That's what it is. But in terms of Tiger Woods, you and I are big fight fans, Fletch. I know a lot of listeners are. It's hard when you see boxers, UFC fighters who were once great and can't give it up. And I know golf's different. You're not getting punched in the face, so there's a little bit less of the even though injuries do happen. It's like you don't want to remember them as the shell of themselves at the end. And I know it's tough because when he won the 2019 Masters, you go, I remember vividly watching First Take on the Monday and then going, how many more majors can he win? I mean, that was the question.
Can he tackle Jack's record? Yeah.
Right. That was the question. So I understand him not wanting to retire because, hey, I just won the Masters. I was the best golfer in the world of the biggest tournament. So, but it's hard seeing these guys who, like Tiger, it feels like a struggle. He's constantly being hurt. He can't get through the 4 days of the tournament. And I'm with you. I don't think we need to keep seeing it. And I want to remember Tiger Woods for Tiger Woods at his peak, not this version of him.
In the last UFC, the big event, who was in the final? It's the dude with the big beard.
Oh, Prohaska?
No, it was the Russian guy with the big beard. I can't remember. Whatever, not important. But Rogan was talking about it, and he was talking about how people discount Anderson Silva's greatness because he stayed in too long.
Yes.
And then towards the end, Anderson Silva lost a lot. His chin was gone. He was getting knocked out a little bit easier. But you have to take Anderson Silva, like the greatest of all time, Anderson Silva, and go up to that second Chael Sonnen fight and just leave it there.
Right.
Because that's who he was in his prime.
100%. Look at Oscar De La Hoya, one of the great fighters, one of the most popular fighters of our generation. The last fight we remember him in is Manny Pacquiao beating him so bad that it was like this. I mean, this is unrecognizable. This fighter. This was a guy who was the boogeyman and has just got absolutely punked all night in Vegas. Like it's boxing and UFC is the premier because you see it. It's violent, but when you see it in these other sports, it's like you just can't give it up. Even these guys that hang on NBA benches and they're trying to go out there and still start. It's like, guys, you don't have it anymore. Be proud of the career you had. No one's greater than Tiger.
It was Makachev. He was in the
Makachev. That's
the
right. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break here. On the other side, let's get into college football a little bit because there is money being thrown around that is absurd. You're throwing bad money after bad money. College football. And you got to stop. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. Tonight, 6 o'clock, right here on San Diego Sports 760. It's SDFC Midweek Live here from the head coach, Mikey Varis, as well as interviews with players and coaches. D. Smith and Adrian Garcia Marquez will wrap up this whole season for SDFC. You can find out the latest club and MLS information, SDFC Midweek Live tonight at 6 right here on your home for SDFC, San Diego Sports 760. All right, we got a lot to talk about with Rich Ornberger coming up in a few minutes.
Richie Six.
How does he feel about Penn State's potential new hire? Sammy, say the name for me.
Kalani Sitake, BYU's head coach, in potential discussions as of today for the Penn State head coaching job.
I wonder if that's coming after the news that Billy O'Brien just got a massive pay raise after a 2-10 win season.
2-10.
2-10 with Boston College, and Billy O'Brien gets a fat pay raise.
What do you make of that, Ben? If you're the Boston College AD, would you be doing that?
No, dude. And they also have this crazy NIL commitment coming his way too, which is the right thing to do, I guess. If you're going to commit a bunch of money to the head coach, you got to also commit a bunch of money to the NIL to let the head coach work. It's just Bill O'Brien. They had to be terrified that he was potentially going to the Penn State job. But is that really that bad if he just went 2-10? I don't know. I don't get college football right now. I'll be honest. It is beyond me, the amount of dollars that are going towards coaches who have already been fired. James Franklin is going to have a real nice life based on his residuals from Penn State. It's crazy what's happening right now. But all that is good stuff to talk about Big Rich with, because A, he went to Penn State, played football there. B, he was a New England Patriot. And right now the New England Patriots appear to be coming back to form with Drake Maye, their new quarterback. And C, Rich is the color analyst on the Aztecs broadcast. So we'll get his thoughts on where they might be playing in the bowl game and wrap up this season as well. So plenty to come with that. But the Bill O'Brien thing is insane to me. I would imagine that Billy O'Brien and the Sitake news are very complimentary towards each other. Like, I think Boston College maybe had a little bit of word that Bill O'Brien was getting a little hot feet and was potentially going to put some feelers out for that Penn State job. Who really, is there a good option in the country right now to take that Penn State job?
Well, that's so Sitake, to be fair to Sitake, very good coach.
Very good.
BYU's
had a hell of a year. They might be a college football playoff team.
Right. If they beat Texas Tech, BYU's been a fantastic program, especially with the lack of resources, even in Utah. So I give Sitake credit. But
I mean, since Fred Warner, has there even been a notable player at BYU? I don't know.
It's kind of true, actually. I forgot Fred Warner played there. But like, you look at college football as a whole. Look at Indiana. Look at Kirk Signetti. The fact that this job came open, the best thing that ever happened to Kirk Signetti was that James Franklin got fired, because they knew he was probably going to leave for them. He gets an 8-year, $92 million contract. Matt Rule, Nebraska head coach, has ties to Penn State. That job comes open, rumors, doesn't really shut it down. All of a sudden, he gets a contract extension with Nebraska. It's funny on this college football head coaching cycle, kind of like the NFL as well, with a rare NFL year where there's not really a big head coaching candidate.
Unless Tomlin gets fired.
That would be the one. And with Lane Kiffin obviously going to LSU instead of Ole Miss, it's interesting how it's like now the thing is poaching other coaches. Right. And honestly, for your second tier coaches, aka Bill O'Brien, who didn't even have a good season, but Boston College just so wants to be relevant, just like Deion. Deion had a disastrous season. Deion will be the head coach of Colorado for the next 30 years if he wants to, because Colorado football is on ESPN because Deion Sanders is there, not because of Colorado football.
You know what I find hilarious in all of this? Bill Belichick's name doesn't even get brought up.
No.
As a person to potentially get poached. North Carolina has been a bit of a disaster this year.
Isn't it funny how that, though, like Belichick, like that went from the hottest story in not like just sports to
disappeared.
Like, people don't care.
There's no one even like stomping on it because it hasn't worked out with North Carolina.
It's been terrible.
It's just a non-factor now. It's like the only relevant thing about Bill Belichick now is his girlfriend. Which,
yeah, seriously.
Good for you, Bill. Keeping that name out there, baby. Let's get Bill Belichick back on YouTube. He was so good at it for the 1 year where he wasn't coaching. His hits on the Pat McAfee show I thought were great. When he was sitting in on the NFL Top 100 stuff was great. Get Bill Belichick back in front of cameras. I actually thought he was really good at it. All right, Big Rich Ornberger on the other side. You're listening to San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by ChooseChangeCA.org. Rough night out for the Lakers last night. We're not able to win their 8th straight. Dylan Brooks had a big one. LeBron kept his double-digit scoring streak alive at 10 points. The Lakers will be back this week on the road, taking on a couple games with the Raptors and the Boston Celtics. And the College Football Playoff Selection Committee final rankings before all the championship games. The big question is whether Notre Dame or Miami or Texas will be in the top 12. Notre Dame lost to Miami in the week 1 of the season, but a lot of people think they might be above them. This holiday season, choose treatment and recovery for opioid or stimulant addiction and embrace new beginnings. The company of family and friends and create special moments. Find a proven treatment provider near you at ChooseChangeCA.org.
Join San Diego Sports 760, ESET, SeaWorld, Cable Pipe and Leak Detection, and the Crowley Car Company to support Rady Children's Hospital this holiday season. Tuesday, December 9th and Wednesday, December 10th, you're going to hear stories of hope and healing from Rady Children's patients and families during the iHeart Rady Children's Give-a-thon. Make a donation today by texting sports to 51555 or donate at radyfoundation.org/give-a-thon. Next week, we're going to be doing that Tuesday and Wednesday next week, the Rady Children's Give-a-thon. Someone I've done plenty of Rady Children's Give-a-thons with, Rich Ornberger. Big Rich. You hear him every morning over on 101.5 KGB. Rich, how are you today? I haven't seen you in like an hour and a half.
I know. Yeah, it's been too long. Things are great. Not a lot different since you last spoke to me. But man, am I glad to be back on with you and Sammy Long.
Now, Rich, your alma mater, Penn State, looking like they might have narrowed down the search on their new head coach. Sammy, what's the guy's name? I mispronounce it every time.
Kalani Sitake.
Kalani Sitake. He's the BYU coach. You got any good feelings about that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I figured this is the direction that they would have had to go in. It's not going to be a big splashy coaching hire. It's not going to be one of the big names. It certainly wasn't going to be a Kiffin to LSU situation. I just don't think that they had the funding, and nothing was more obvious than the hasty exit of James Franklin and the lack of willingness to really throw their hat into the ring as a major player on the coaching hiring scene. You know, I will say this. A lot of coaches use that Penn State opening as leverage. You saw Clark Lee land a big extension with Vandy. You saw Kurt Signetti land a big extension with Indiana. You saw, what's the name of the Missouri head coach? Eli Drinkowitz. He landed a big extension
Matt Rule
with Missouri. Too. Matt Rule, another example out in Nebraska. There were a lot of examples of coaches whose names were thrown. Actually, Matt Rule fired, but a lot of names that were thrown around and in this coaching hiring process. And as a result, you know, I think they were more used as leverage. So am I excited about the hire? I'll tell you what, I'm excited that they made a decision before early signing day. And if they end up having success like they did with James Franklin, then they've made a great choice. I'm a big James Franklin fan, and whoever they hire next has big shoes to fill.
Rich, I'm curious your thoughts on Lane Kiffin. Like, what do you make of the whole he's leaving, they're going to the playoff, he's not allowed to coach? Where do you kind of fall on the whole thing?
Here's where I fall. It's a broken system, Sammy. Like the real situation is, I mean, if you're going to have a bowl period or a playoff period that falls in line with the early signing period, and it used to be the transfer portal, but they've pushed that this year, you're going to have these situations because what campus or university or state-run university is going to spend the kind of money you're spending on coaches and not want the head coach to be in the building as they start that early signing period? And for those of you who aren't informed or don't know, the early signing period is the first opportunity you can sign high school recruits to become LSU Tigers. So, of course, LSU wants him in the building. And, of course, Ole Miss wants him out of the building because, frankly, if you have a bunch of verbal or written agreements put on paper and the thought process is, oh, I'm going to go play for Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss, and then he decides to go to LSU sometime after that, you're going to have decommits, and that's going to be embarrassing for the program or worse. So, yeah, I'm going to say this in this way. I know there's a lot of people who hate Lane Kiffin right now, but don't hate the player, hate the game. Like, they got to change the way college football is structured before we label any one of these coaches a villain, because, I mean, anybody can stand on their soapbox and say, justifiably so, I'm upset by this, and Lane Kiffin turned his back on his team. Yeah, sure. But at the end of the day, everybody would do it. He just signed an $80+ million contract to become the next LSU head coach. There's not a single person out there who wouldn't have done the same thing. So don't blame Lane Kiffin. Blame the broken college football system.
It's a system that's built to punish loyalty now, which is very, very silly about college football and the state of college athletics as it is right now. Rich, we'll stick with college football for one more, then jump over to your thoughts on the Patriots. But this Aztecs football season, obviously the regular season ends with kind of a downer and that loss to New Mexico, but going from a 3-win team to a 9-win team just 1 year later, it's one of the more impressive turnarounds in college football. If you were to tie a bow on this season, what would you say about this Aztecs football team?
I would say they've gotten much better and they're still improving culturally. I think that as Sean Lewis continues to put his imprint on this football program, I think we're seeing a better version of this football program. I think he took a program that was scraping bottom culturally at the time, and that's no offense to head coach Brady Hoke, and it's no offense to his interim after that, but there was an issue, and when he stepped down, it was probably the right time for him and his family, and it was the right time for the university because they needed to pivot. And I know there were a lot of people who were naysayers last year about Coach Lewis, and it's really difficult to get anything done in a single season. It was always going to be a multi-year process. And I say multi-year process because there's still people really disappointed in the results this year. We're only in year 2. He's only been on the campus for 24 games, and he's won the majority of those games now. You know, a complete turnaround, or actually 500 record, but a complete turnaround year versus year. And I think it only gets better from here. Now, obviously, he needs to keep his staff together. They're going to have to sign some key pieces in this upcoming, NIL retention situation that every team is facing. But if they can do that and they can add some talent to this team and get healthier this offseason, there's going to be a really dangerous San Diego State Aztecs football team next year.
Rich, switching over to the NFL. So there's been a lot made of who is the best team in the NFL. A lot of people thought it was the Rams for them losing. Patriots win last night. Do you think your Patriots are the best team in the NFL?
I think they are absolutely one of them. I think this year we're kind of spoiled with a great year of parity. And I'm not saying it's necessarily my preference. I actually think the NFL is better when there's one team that stands head and shoulders above the rest, or maybe even two teams. And it feels like they're the measuring bar for the rest of the league. It's like, well, Team X beat that team, and so we know that Team X is a good team, or Team Y beat that team, and so we know Team Y is a good team. This year, there is no that team. The Eagles, they don't look like the Eagles of last year. The Chiefs don't look like the Chiefs dynasty that we're used to looking at. And so there's no measuring bar team. So it's very difficult to say who's great and who's just good. But right now, I will say they're one of the best teams in the National Football League. And the reason is they're winning. They look consistently composed in pressurized situations. Drake Maye has not shrunk from big moments. He's a clutch performer. And they've got a really good defense and run game. And that's going to factor greatly as we get to the colder months of the NFL football season. And they host games outdoors. So that really matters specifically in New England. So I think they're primed and set for a deep playoff run.
Rich, there were a bunch of people this offseason who were saying Drake Maye's second-year breakout is coming. It's going to be massive. Wait till you see it. And, of course, they're all pounding their chest right now. It's happened. Drake Maye's looked like one of the best quarterbacks in football this season. But did you see this coming, where Drake Maye would go from last year, who he showed some signs, but he was on a really struggling football team with the head coaching situation in flux, See, year 2 with Mike Vrabel, for it to look this dramatically better for Drake Maye to all of a sudden make this huge leap to where now he's sitting firmly atop the MVP conversation?
Well, I don't have the betting slips to prove it, but I can tell you I advised a lot of people who do place bets in Vegas on win totals that I thought the Denver Broncos would be better than their win total and the New England Patriots. And the reason why is because their 2 rookie quarterbacks a season ago didn't look like the league was too big for them. And that is a great first step. When you can make the NFL, where you have the best players on the planet competing against you every single week, look similar to how you performed in college, especially with some of the limitations for Drake Maye on that Patriots team a year ago, you have to assume if they build around this guy, and they made a switch at head coach, obviously that's helped a great deal as well. But if they build around this guy, they're going to improve. Bo Nix had consistency. They had just signed Sean Payton to a long-term contract. He was the hand-selected quarterback after his time with Russell Wilson in Denver. And so you knew he was going to make it work. I mean, he made it work with everybody that he coached in New Orleans before he made his exit there. You know, quarterbacks play well for Sean Payton. So, yeah, I'm not going to sit here and pound my chest like some people and say, like, oh, I called this. I knew that the Patriots in Denver would be at the top of their divisions and at the top of the AFC. I wouldn't go that far. But on paper, there's a lot of people who would have been dismissive of a second-year quarterback in Denver and New England. But when you play in this league and you see composure at that level that early in your career, it really does feel like a special future's ahead. And that's exactly what's ahead for Denver and New England. It looks like they found their franchise guys.
So I'm curious about Bo Nix. I agree with you with Drake Maye that like he does look like the franchise player and you know going to be a superstar in this league for a long time. But like Bo Nix, do you think he's that kind of quarterback, or do you think the Broncos are winning more because of the talent of the team?
I do think that both quarterbacks are winning because of the talent of the team. I don't think Drake Maye is a complete player. I think that the defense has had to bail the Patriots out a few times, and Drake Maye has made some unbelievable plays himself. I'm not trying to diminish what he's done. And I could say the same thing about Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos. You know, Bo Nix is at very least, a better than average quarterback right now. Do I think that he would be the type of quarterback that if you put him in Justin Herbert's situation in Los Angeles, he would be having as much success as the Chargers right now? Absolutely not. I think he needs a competent offensive line. He needs some weapons around him like he has in Denver, and a coach like Sean Payton who can guide the path for him offensively to have success. But do I think he's getting better? Yeah, I think he's a better quarterback this year than last year. And do I think he's a franchise guy? Yeah. As long as he keeps getting better, he's their franchise quarterback. And I look at him the same way in many ways that I looked at Josh Allen. Early in his career, there were inconsistencies, but you could see the light at the end of the tunnel. Now, Josh Allen kept improving. He got better and better and better. And it wasn't until his third year where we're like, oh my gosh, this guy's a Pro Bowler, and he will be every year that he decides to play and stay healthy. And it's possible for Bo Nix to make that next level jump between year 2 and year 3 when he really settles into his NFL playing career. He could become a very special quarterback in this league.
All right, Rich, we got to scram so Sammy can make us some money, but I did want to get your thoughts as quickly as possible. If you were a veteran in an NFL locker room and you had a rookie like, say, I don't know, Abdul Carter, who has now missed meetings and missed time in two games this season, and last night really seemed to be detrimental to the Giants with the Patriots getting touchdowns on their first 2 drives, the drives that he missed. What would you be saying to Abdul Carter today?
If I were a veteran on that team and I was in the defensive line room and I had a standing relationship with him, I would let him know that it's not good enough. That, you know, when you're in a situation like he's in as a first round pick and somebody who's getting paid a lot more money than the vast majority of players in the NFL, that he needs to play like it. Otherwise, he's going to find himself gone. And I'm not going to say, hey, that's my opinion. I'm just going to say, you are what you put on tape. You are what people are going to say about you from the standpoint of maturity. And if he doesn't change it, the Giants will. I mean, at some point they'll cut him, and he'll learn a hard lesson that a lot of first rounders have learned in the past. it's tough ropes in the NFL, even for a first rounder.
That's actually shockingly similar to what Dexter Lawrence said in his media availability postgame. All right, Rich, thank you for your time, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, you got it, guys. Anytime.
Rich Ornberger, you hear him every morning on 101.5 KGB when we do a little show called Big Rich, TD, and Fletch from 6 to 10 a.m. All right, coming up next, Sammy's going to make us all some money. He's due. It's got to happen today. It's a Christmas miracle. Sammy's long shots next. San Diego Sports 760. We're all about squabbling up here. That's what I always say.
Played a little Kendrick for you.
Squabble up, yo. Sammy Long needs to squabble us up. A winner here today. Fun chatting with Big Rich. If you missed it, it'll be up on the free iHeartRadio app on the podcast a little bit later. Just search the Fletch Zone, search San Diego Sports 760. Add both of those things to your presets so you can find us a little bit easier when you open up the free iHeartRadio app. And in fact, if you have Apple CarPlay and you set us to your presets, it'll pop up on your CarPlay as well.
And then our bosses are very happy.
And maybe take us to a steak dinner. I have not eaten steak yet. Sammy, have you?
No, Mary, we love Mary, but she's not holding up her end of the bargain. It's ridiculous.
Squabble up, Mary.
We asked all our listeners to participate and and they've done all that. They commented to shout out to all of you, and she's still not taking us on our dinner.
Squabble up one time is all I'm saying. What does that mean? What does squabble up mean?
I don't know. Honestly, a lot of Kendrick's lyrics, like he's a great lyricist, but like I think it's just, if you're not familiar with the song, he just kind of does the not like us thing where it's like a chant in the middle of it.
Mustard.
Yeah, that song gets played. First off, can I say one thing about San Diego State football? I'm imploring whoever is doing the PA, like I get it. You want a third down song. I don't need to hear mustard every time the Aztecs go to a third down.
Mustard.
Like we could mix it up a little bit. You know what I mean? Like by the end of the game I went to, I was literally like, I never want to hear this song again in my life.
Mustard. It's a great condiment. All right, Sammy. So why don't you just back off a little bit and win us all some money? It's time for Sammy's long shots. He does it every single day, builds us out a daily fantasy sports lineup. A nice little 0 for 3 yesterday, which was a rough one.
0 for 4. We'll keep it for the people.
0 for 4.
You didn't put in the last leg.
Jesus, man. I just gave you a easy way out.
I have been positive the last 2 months. Listen, these are the ebbs and flows of betting. This is
December. This is a new month.
It's not always going to be. It's choppy water sometimes. Listen, to get to the other side,
Manny Machado in the postseason.
the only way. Hey, you know what it is?
He hit a home run.
The only way out is through, Ben. That's our wisdom for today.
All right, well, let's go
as well
through.
As gambling.
Sammy, smash it.
You looking for some luck? Want to win big? Gotta play big.
You are so money and you don't even know it.
Time to take a chance
Pay that man his money.
with long shots.
Our buddy Jamar on YouTube said, squabble up equals throwing them hands. Does that mean fight?
Yes.
Let's throw hands.
Oh, thank you, Jamar. I appreciate that. Yeah. Squabble or throwing. You don't know what throwing hands means?
I know what throwing hands mean. I'm cool, Sammy.
Threw hands.
I'm so cool, dude. I got hands thrown at me a couple times in my life.
Really? Did you win?
Nah. Well,
why'd you get hands thrown at you?
It's actually, we don't have time for this, but I'll tell it as quickly as possible.
Let's
High school
it.
Basketball playing against Modesto Christian.
Hey, those Christian boys were not being very Christian.
Modesto Christian. This was my fault, but we definitely boxed out a couple times a little too hard.
Okay.
Maybe threw some elbows a little too close to the waist.
Okay.
Maybe one connected just below the waist.
Listen, if you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Thank you. And then like the next drive down, this dude who was at least 4 inches taller than me and outweighed me by probably 50, 60 pounds, picked me up and threw me. Literally
hit him with a little 1-2.
No, so I stood up because I felt like that was the thing I had to do, and then like ran back towards him and kind of like tried to puff my chest out a little bit. And this dude's like looking down at me and immediately elbows me in the face.
Yeah. I had a similar situation.
Modesto Christian.
I got in a fight with a kid on the floor, and then my coach pulled me out and benched me for some reason. And I said, I thought I was showing toughness. And then another kid on our team did it the next game. He's like, I love the heart. Love the heart. I was like, Coach, screw you, man.
Yeah.
All right. These people want to win money. They don't care about high school basketball. Let's go to college basketball first. We have college basketball and NBA. Jacoby Gillespie, guard for Tennessee. Tennessee's playing Syracuse. Now, Syracuse gets a lot of headlines because of Carmelo Anthony's kid, Kion Anthony. He's going to improve. He's going to be better. He's not quite at that level he needs to be at. But Jacoby Gillespie, Tennessee is very... like it's led by Rick Barnes, and then Gillespie is the guy. So we're going more than 25.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He's hit the over in every game of the tournament last week in the Players Era, except against Kansas. But you're playing Bill Self. That's usually going to happen. Kansas has pretty good defense despite not having Darren Peterson. Jacoby Gillespie, more than 25.5 points, rebounds, and assists, taking on Syracuse. Kansas, UConn tonight. Big game in college basketball. Darren Peterson, the projected number 1 overall pick, will not be playing for Kansas, which means Melvin Council will really stepped up in the Players Era tournament. Had 17 against Tennessee, 14 against Syracuse. Has really increased his role ever since it was kind of just Trey White and Flory Badunga. Melvin Council, Bill Self found something in the last week or two. I think he has a big night, more than 14 points, going to get a lot of shot opportunities against that UConn defense. All right, heading to the association. Boston Knicks, always a fun game when these two get together. Jaylen Brown, more than 27.5 points. Jaylen Brown's by himself. I don't know if you guys watch much Celtics basketball, but Jaylen Brown, because Jason Tatum's not there, traded Drew Holiday, traded Kristaps Porzingis. Jaylen Brown is by himself with this team. He's been having an outstanding season so far. He has hit this number in 3 of his last 4 games. He did not against Cleveland. He only had 19, but that's simply because Cleveland has a very good defense and Donovan Mitchell. What am I saying here? Jaylen Brown is going to hit his over more than 27.5 points. Okay, Jimmy Butler, Golden State, take on Oklahoma City. Jimmy Butler, more than 20.5 points. This is a vintage Jimmy Butler game. If they're going to have any shot against Oklahoma City, you need slashers who attack the paint. You're not beating Oklahoma City shooting from the outside. It's just not happening. They have too good of wing defenders. Shea can defend. Jalen Williams is coming back. AJ Mitchell, who they've really found this year. They got Lou Dort. They got Alex Caruso. They have so many wing defenders. It's almost an embarrassment of riches for them. But Jimmy Butler, the key to even keeping this game close is getting to the rack. This is a big Jimmy Butler game, more than 20.5 points. What do you got over there?
7.5 free throws made.
No, because they're in Oklahoma City. I think we go points. I got a 5-legger, but
I was going to ask you to veto one of these.
I have another one.
We need a winner, Sammy.
I have another one. I have one I feel very good about.
Okay, this is the optional.
This is the optional one if you're feeling really risky today.
I always am.
New Orleans Pelicans taking on Minnesota. Jeremiah Fears, more than 15.5 points. He's taken on an expanded role in the offense. Trey Murphy, Zion Williamson have missed the last couple games. Zion got downgraded to questionable tonight against Minnesota. It's been Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen's team. They are the 2-star rookies of the team. Fears is taking a lot of shots. In the games Zion hasn't played, he's hit his over in each of the last 2 games against the Warriors and the Lakers. More than 15.5 points for Jeremiah Fears. What's your veto, Ben?
I was going to make you veto one of your own.
Why would I? These are all going to hit. Why would I veto one of my own?
Because you say that, but it's not going to.
Listen, you don't. When you're at the blackjack table and you lose a couple hands, do you know what you do? You double down. You don't sit there and base bet. Let the casino take you out.
Sure. All right. I'm all in. Let's go all 5.
Recap. Jaylen Brown, more than 27.5 points. Jeremiah Fears, more than 15.5 points. Jimmy Butler, more than 20.5. Melvin Council for Kansas, more than 14. And Colin Gillespie, more than 25.5 points, rebounds, and assists.
I do like that 7.5 free throws made. Old Faithful never lets us down. You only get the nickname Old Faithful if you're on time all the time.
If you want to double it, I mean, if he gets 8 free throws, he's probably hitting his over on points.
Probably.
So you could probably stack it if you want to, but I'm not going to put that out there.
I should have done that, and I didn't do that. All right, hour number 2 is coming up next. Sammy and I got into this conversation during some of the commercial breaks that I think is a lot of fun. We're going to bring it to you coming up next. So on YouTube right now, find us at San Diego Sports 760. Drop a comment. Best college football player to not work out in the NFL. Let's tackle that in hour 2. Load up the comments now at San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. Patriots took care of the Giants last night, 33-15. They're currently atop the AFC for the number 1 seed. And Giannis Antetokounmpo has deleted everything related to the Milwaukee Bucks on his social media. Possible trade incoming. When you're trying to find quality candidates, all the searching, screening, and interviewing can become a job itself. You need Indeed, the all-in-one platform that makes it easy to interview, screen, and hire quality people. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Welcome to the Fletch Zone. Fletch Zone.
I'm Ben Fletcher. That's Sammy Long.
Into the Fletch Zone.
Not like other guys.
Sound off like you got a pair.
Looks like the Patriots are back.
Maye moves up, throws a lot of line. There's separation there. The pass to Williams is perfect. Touchdown, Patriots.
The NFL weekend ends with a win over the Giants. Plus, the lane train pulls into Baton Rouge.
The opportunity at LSU, as I said before, is just different. Someone very close to me reminded me this week that LSU is the best job in football.
We look ahead to tonight's matchup for San Diego State basketball. And those picks.
Drake Maye, more than 25.5 rush yards. Jackson Dart, more than 19 pass completions. Jaime Jaquez, more than 11.5 points.
What did he say?
Jaime Jaquez, more than 11.5 points. DeAndre Ayton, more than 13.5 points.
You're not curious? Just to try something new?
Guess some of the Thanksgiving anger is going to carry over.
I got to a point where I stopped talking to relatives in the fourth quarter. It was not a good holiday.
Now, live from the studios of San Diego Sports 760, we enter the Fletch Zone.
Yeah, it's hour 2 here on San Diego Sports 760. Thank you for being here. If you were here all the way back in hour 1, you heard us throw out a question to the YouTube chat at San Diego Sports 760. Best college football player not to work out in the NFL. We'll tackle some of those in just a little bit. Plus, get you our official week, is it 14 power rankings in the NFL, which for my power rankings at the very least, there's a new team at the top. So we'll get into that in just a little bit as well. But right now, I do want to piggyback off of something Sammy just said in his update, the Giannis Antetokounmpo thing. So we haven't talked a ton of NBA lately, largely because it's not Christmas yet. And that's when the NBA season for a lot of folks officially begins. But it's been cruising. The Lakers have been playing well. It's been a fun year so far. A lot of the familiar names are raising back to the top. You got a young Spurs team that's turning a lot of heads. It's been a fun year in the NBA to this point. But this storyline that has just been bubbling underneath the surface is Giannis Antetokounmpo and if he leaves or if he stays. Most likely at this point, Sammy, is it pretty safe to say Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to get traded?
He either this year or next year. I do not see a scenario where next season he's playing on the Milwaukee Bucks.
And as of today, as of this morning, Giannis Antetokounmpo has wiped his social media of anything related to the Bucks.
The only thing he kept was his championship win in the NBA Cup. He took everything else off that said Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay, and what's funny about that is Lane Kiffin still has not changed his Twitter bio to the head coach of LSU.
Hey, Lane Kiffin's been busy. Lane Kiffin's been doing press conferences. A lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, but he's still the head coach of Ole Miss, according to social media. So who knows? But the Giannis Antetokounmpo thing is funny. Now, I heard Colin Cowherd. He literally closed his show with this, talking about the fact that he could see a world where Giannis Antetokounmpo comes to the Lakers.
Oh my God.
I'm pretty sure Sammy attached a rocket ship to his ass and flew out into orbit as soon as Colin said those words.
Please,
it's funny.
dear
Colin
God,
will talk
let that
crap
happen.
about the Chiefs, and Sammy's like, "Oh, I hate this guy." And then Colin says something like that about the Lakers.
I have never said I hate Colin Cowherd.
No,
I listen to Colin every day.
Sure, but every once in a while he says some things about the Chiefs and you lose your mind about it. He says this about the Lakers and Sammy freaks out. Now, Sammy, during this last commercial break, we were talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo and the potential for him to go to the Lakers and trade. And Sammy said, if the Lakers can find a way to do it without giving up Austin Reeves,
Which wouldn't happen. Reeves would be the deal.
this would be the greatest trade of all time. I say if the Lakers find out in back-to-back years how to trade for Luka Doncic and then Giannis Antetokounmpo and somehow don't lose Austin Reeves in either of those deals, there needs to be a grand jury investigating the NBA for absolute fraud. That would be absurd.
So the thing with Giannis is interesting. It's a weird situation because he's in the East, right? And the Bucks are going, there's been a lot of rumors to the Lakers or the Knicks. Now, the Knicks have a package that could probably get him. But if you're Milwaukee, you're going, wait, we want to trade him to the biggest media market in the world in the Eastern Conference. So if Milwaukee gets good again, they're going to be playing him all the time. There's been this kind of narrative that you can't trade Giannis if you're a small market team. If you're the Milwaukee Bucks, you won't get anything back. You're not going to sign superstars. You're not LA, Miami, New York, Dallas, or something like that. But I think that's such a old like way of thinking. Like, you got a championship. Milwaukee's going to lose him for nothing at some point in a couple of years from now. The longer you wait, the trade value goes down. The Lakers can't offer the package that other teams could. Like, ironically, the Thunder could offer the craziest package. Now, I don't know if a team would trade Giannis to the Thunder.
Aren't most of the Thunder's young stars already under contract?
The big three are, but I mean, you could trade. They have so many draft picks that they could. The Lakers, the big centerpiece that the Lakers have is Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves averaging 29 points a game this year, playing like an all-star. So they would be getting him back in the deal. He is a free agent after the season, so they probably have to have something lined up or where he's got a deal in place. But it's very interesting because, like, if Milwaukee wants the best package, it's probably in the Eastern Conference. The only way he becomes a Laker is in the offseason. The Lakers can offer more first-round draft picks because the way the NBA works, it opens up. You can't trade back-to-back picks. Is if he probably forces his way to LA, because there's teams that have bigger draft picks or amount of capital to get him. But there's long been rumored Giannis wants to play in a big market, aka New York or LA.
Man, I would imagine if you are the Warriors, the Lakers, any team out west that understand the Spurs that understands they're going to be butting their heads up against OKC in the postseason once again this year. OKC with this young team that has everybody already under contract.
They're not going away.
You got to look at this as we need to bring Giannis in to try to win one this year, because Golden State expiring stars with Curry and Draymond. Maybe who knows if they can ever look this good again. With LA, this may be LeBron's last shot at a ring. Why would you not move heaven and earth to try to get Giannis over for this season?
Well, and this is what's crazy about what Pelinka did with the whole. It's hilarious that he actually pulled it off. With we need to build trust. You shouldn't talk.
The Lakers should already be under a grand jury for what they did last year.
No, Rob Pelinka used gaslighting to his advantage. Shout out to Rob Pelinka.
Crazy.
He what he was able to do by saying we should only deal with each other, not open it up to the entire NBA, because if Nico Harrison had done his job and opened up Luka to the entire NBA, he would be playing with Shea in Oklahoma City right now, and they would have gotten back draft picks, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, everything.
What are the chances Adam Silver was like, I'm sorry I put the kibosh on that Chris Paul trade a decade and a half ago, so yeah, you can have Luka for nothing.
He did cost the Lakers a ring with that, so, you know.
All right, let's get to the big three here of hour number 2. Keep those comments coming in. We got a bunch of good ones. Best college football player to never pan out in the NFL. We'd love to hear from you. Sammy, smash it.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? I mean, coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big Three.
I'll say this, Sammy. You and I fired off about 50 names during a commercial break when we were talking about college football players. Jamar has a name we did not mention on YouTube.
Yeah, we got some great stuff on YouTube. Also, we're doing top 5 NFL power rankings coming up at 1:30.
Already said that.
Did you already say that? I wasn't listening. But we got our talk back on the app. If you want a little red microphone, we'd love to hear your list. Tell us why our lists are stupid, whatever you want to do. All right, let's head to so tonight is the reveal of the college football playoff before championship week. Okay, so there's gonna be some changing. Obviously, these aren't set in stone. But the big debate is between Texas, Notre Dame, and Miami. So Notre Dame and Miami. Notre Dame's probably in. There's a concern that Notre Dame's going to get ranked above Miami, even though Miami beat them in week 1 of the regular season. And then Texas is there. So Texas beats number 3 Texas A&M over the weekend. They do have 3 losses, but they have 3 wins over top 10 ranked opponents at the time they played them. Fletch, do you think Texas should be in the college football playoff?
Do I think they should? Maybe no. Do I think they will? Absolutely yes. What have we learned about college football over the last couple of decades? They will ram something in if it's culturally relevant. What is more culturally relevant than a Manning in college football playoff? And he just gave them all the ammo they needed. They beat Texas A&M. That was such a big win for Texas. That was all the ammo that ESPN and the selection committee, which I'm not totally unconvinced isn't the same thing, went together, and that is enough to get Texas over the hump.
It's an interesting debate. So I thought like you. I was very like, well, of course Texas is going to be in because it's one of the biggest brands in college football.
The win over Texas A&M is undeniable. And listen, college football is competing just like every other league against the NFL, and every other league loses because the NFL is king. What's the one way to draw some viewership? If you have big brands in Miami, like on the Manning cast, the Manning brothers could be talking about Arch Manning,
right? But Miami, huge brand. Texas, USC's not going to be in. They would love USC in. Ohio State, Michigan. Like, these are schools that draw because they have massive fan bases. Sark brings up an interesting point. He was talking about how basically if you look at it, because a lot of these other schools have 2 losses who would be in ahead of them, he's saying we took a risk and played Ohio State week 1, a non-conference game, and lost by 7. So the kind of thinking is, should they be punished for taking on a challenge and giving us the matchups we want to see, taking on Ohio State when they didn't have to, knowing they already play a brutal SEC schedule?
But you lost to Florida, who hasn't been all that great this year.
Well, so
like,
it's
as equal as like that loss is. You could argue a good loss.
Right, the number 1 team in the country by 7 points on the road.
And you play in week 1 before you even know what you have as a team.
Exactly.
So that is admirable, and I'll give Sark a lot of credit for that. But then in the middle of your season, when you're already cooking a little bit, you lose to a Florida team who's unranked? Like that, it's inexcusable.
It's just a weird thing with college football, because in the NFL, this isn't a problem. If you win enough games, you're in the postseason. It's hard because there's so much. Where do you value? Do you value more wins? Do you value more losses, but you have better wins? Like, it's such a tricky thing to deal with. Like, I understand if I'm a Texas fan, I'm frustrated because of the schedule they play, but at the same time, you also lost another game. You didn't have to schedule Ohio State, but I do think we should incentivize school scheduling big time competition versus playing a soft schedule and getting in the playoff with a joke of a schedule.
So for Texas in and of itself, the win over Texas A&M is massive. The win over Oklahoma earlier this year is massive. Now both of those were,
and Vanderbilt was top 10 at the time.
Correct. I think they were 14 at the time.
Okay, all right. Shots out.
Maybe even higher. I'm not positive on that. But then the overtime game against Kentucky is one of those head scratchers. We're like, what are you? And yeah, you walk away with a win in that one. But it's like, what are you, Texas? And so if they get into the college football playoff, we saw how they looked against Georgia. They got their asses kicked.
Right.
It's like
bad too.
When they're going up against that elite of college football, I think you almost have to throw week 1 out, because Ohio State didn't really know what they were yet. Texas didn't know what they were yet.
Totally. And Texas wasn't favored in the game. It was Ohio State slightly.
1.5.
Yeah, because it was Texas had one of the most sacked rods. I don't know. It's an interesting question. It's a fun ranking reveal tonight.
They're going to get in. Just saying that.
I think they will too. Let's head to the NFL. So Justin Herbert had surgery on his hand. He is expected to play Monday night against the Eagles. Now, they haven't confirmed that. It says he wants to. Harbaugh was on Cowherd earlier and talked about how if he's able to, he will. Kind of gave the coach speak answer. But my question is this. Do you think the Chargers are being undervalued? Like, we talk about Denver, we talk about the Patriots, talk about a lot of these teams. The Chargers have been winning games. Are the Chargers overvalued, undervalued, or just right?
I think undervalued is the right word. Look, we've made a lot of excuses for teams this year in the NFL. With the Ravens, it's like, yeah, but wait till the defense gets healthy and Lamar gets fully back. Well, look, the Ravens, they're basically put back together at this point. There's still some key pieces of the defense out, but they just lost. Like the Chargers, credit to them, they've been as banged up as anyone across the NFL. You put them up there with the Niners, with the Bucks. Who else has had massive injuries this year? The Ravens, obviously. The Steelers, obviously. Like, you put them up with anyone. They've been as injured as anybody, and they're still winning games. And they're doing it kind of quietly. And, yeah, they're the Chargers, so they don't have a huge fan base making a lot of noise. But they're, 8-4 now? Second in their division? Like, the Chargers, all of a sudden, you have to take them seriously. And they do have a quarterback who can be an absolute game changer. Now, will he play? I think there's been a lot of shade thrown by Chargers team right now, making it clear that they're like, oh, Justin's going to play. Justin's going to play. Justin's going to play. Surgery is surgery, dude. And I look, it would take a Herculean effort for him to be back on the field.
I think if the Chargers had their tackles, you would be like, wow, this seems pretty scary.
They could be a potential Super Bowl favorite if they had their tackles.
If they had their tackles. They don't. The offensive line protection has been god-awful. We've seen them when they step up in competition. They got destroyed by the Jags. Now, I think that game got a little bit out of hand, but when they played a team that had a rush with no offensive line, we're going to see, though, with the Chargers. Because
Can you get Hampton back this week? Because he was supposed to be back last week.
Yeah, they're kind of hazy on it. They haven't really said yet, but we'll see if he's back. The schedule tightens up. So you got the Eagles, the Chiefs after, who have to win every game, so they're going to be trying for that. When you got the Cowboys in a few weeks, like the schedule really ups for the Chargers. I don't know if they're going to be able to kind of get through this gauntlet of a schedule with the lack of tackles, but going back to our pressure conversation, Josh Allen is far and away. If Mahomes and Lamar and Burrow are out of the postseason, Josh Allen for sure is the most pressure of anyone in the playoff field. Number two, because if you look at the quarterbacks, Justin Herbert is going to be expected to beat Bo Nix, even if he doesn't have the roster. Drake May, Trevor Lawrence, all these. Justin Herbert's the second best quarterback in that playoff field. after Josh Allen, Herbert's going to have a lot of pressure on him despite not having his tackles.
I would almost put Herbert and Lawrence as 1A, 1B in that conversation.
Yes, but I feel like at this point we have a higher ceiling for Herbert.
That's true.
Than we do for Lawrence. But yes, I do think if Lawrence wants to prove that he is what his draft stock was out of Clemson.
Lawrence has been good this year. Like,
he's dealt with injuries.
Beat the Chargers, beat the Niners. Trevor Lawrence has some big wins.
Travis Hunter got hurt. Brian Thomas has been awful. Like, he's dealt with some stuff.
Yeah, I give a lot of credit to what the Jags have done with Liam Cohen. Duval.
Duval.
All right, we're going to get to number 3 on the other side. We'll also get to some of your comments on YouTube. Best college football players to not pan out in the league. Want to hear from you. And then at 1:30 Power Rankings time, you can chime in on that as well. It's San Diego Sports 760. You're listening live on the iHeartRadio app. Power rankings of the NFL coming up in just a few minutes. Right now, we're going to do this conversation that Sammy and I had off the air, and it was too much fun not to bring to the air. So best college football player to never really pan out in the league. And we got a bunch of good comments. We'll start with Jamar. who said, just from the SEC, you got Tebow and Johnny Football. How did we not think of Johnny Manziel when we were going through our conversation?
Of course.
Excellent. A stud in college gets to the NFL, total disaster. Now, I think there was a lot of off the field stuff with Johnny Football that maybe led to some of that, and he's been really open about it recently. But yeah, Johnny Football is absolutely one of them. Tim Tebow, you talk about maybe the best college football player ever.
Of all time, yeah. He's in that. He was unbelievable at Florida.
Back-to-back BCS national championships. Tim Tebow was the leader, the inventor of the jump pass, really. But those Florida teams were unreal.
Isn't it funny how Tebow and Manziel, though, kind of gave people pause on drafting Mahomes, drafting Allen, Lamar, got players like that because Manziel was so hyped. Tebow, to a lesser extent, was hyped, but not as much of a running quarterback. The fact that Manziel burned out so bad, people kind of assume like players like this don't work in the league, and that has obviously been proven very wrong.
If I'm remembering correctly, when Tebow was entering into the draft process, he was adamant he was going in as a quarterback, but a ton of people were saying you should be going in as a tight end.
Yeah, they said he would have been taken the first 3 rounds of tight end.
Right. But Tebow, as a quarterback in the NFL, look, he had one of the more memorable postseason plays.
He would have been Taysom Hill.
Yeah, you remember the play he had to Demaryius Thomas?
Yep, first play overtime against Baltimore. Yep.
I thought it was the Steelers. Maybe it was Baltimore.
I thought it was Baltimore.
You might be right. But yeah, I mean, one of the coolest plays ever. Jamar also saying Trent Richardson had all the hype after dominating at Bama and immediately was an NFL bust. Our buddy Benjamin says Brian Bosworth. Now, Bosworth, he's interesting because he was this ridiculous stud superstar at Oklahoma, I'm pretty sure. But then when he got to the league, he only played for like 2 or 3 seasons and he got hurt and then became an actor. Like, I think his career ended short because of injury, not because he sucked.
Yeah.
So that one's tricky, but he became an awesome
But still,
actor.
I mean, it works.
And Brian Bosworth is still the super recognizable name. Rich McGuire says, in this town, you can never forget Ryan Leaf.
Obviously.
Ryan Leaf at Washington State was such a stud. And then Ryan Leaf in the league was a disaster.
The funny thing about it is he was good for the first 4 or 5 games. And then remember he went to Kansas City, threw 6 interceptions, and then it was never the same.
Well, he had the locker room blow up on Jay Posner. I'm pretty sure it was on Jay. That is going to live in infamy. And yeah, Ryan Leaf is doing well now. Actually, Jonathan Rifkin, bizarrely, knows Ryan really well. They do a lot of stuff outside of
really?
Yeah, like they're buddies. And Ryan apparently is doing great now. He's sober. He's kind of advocating for sobriety. Sir Will 619 says Jamarcus Russell was a huge bust, and I loved it as a former Chargers fan.
Yes,
dude, the best Jamarcus Russell story. Mike Costa tells this story. The coach for the Raiders at the time, who I'm blanking on right now, excuse me, went to Jamarcus Russell and gave him like an old CD case of film and said, "Hey, I want you to watch these, and we'll have a meeting about it on Monday morning, and we'll talk about it after the fact." So Jamarcus goes home, says he watches the film. Monday comes back into the office, sits down and starts talking to the coach, and the coach gave him blank CDs with nothing on them. And so Jamarcus Russell just phoned it in completely, was trying to fake his way through it.
Yeah, that is an example of I'm a superstar in college, just putting no work in the NFL.
How about Vince Young? He's got to be on that list.
Vince Young, you talk about greatest college quarterback of all time, greatest game, beating USC. That's the greatest college football game of all time. Vince Young certainly would be on that list.
Sir Will, Matt Leinart, another bust. Yep. He was a stud at USC, spent his entire career as an NFL backup.
It's funny how we were talking about this at a break, and obviously Joe Burrow's a superstar in the NFL, and Trevor Lawrence has had a good career, not a great career, but he's not a bust. I don't know if you call Trevor Lawrence a bust. You look at those teams, we talk about Vince Young, Tim Tebow as the greatest college quarterbacks of all time. Matt Leinart's one of those, but Matt Leinart never got the respect probably because you're playing with Reggie Bush in a defense that had Maliuga and Clay Matthews and one of the all-time great defenses. Does Burrow, in terms of a college quarterback that obviously did not become a bust, just in terms of best college quarterback of all time, does Burrow get knocked down because he was thrown to Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson?
See, you say that, yeah, but the Tebow Florida teams had dogs on him, man. Aaron Hernandez was on that team. Was it Percy Harvin, the guy who had a bunch of concussions?
Yeah, Percy Harvin was on that team.
Percy Harvin was a dog on that team. They all had guys. And the best college football teams, which is where we get a lot of the best college football players, are often like that because they have 7 or 8 NFL dudes on the offense and more on the defense. So that's that conversation can kind of be had about anybody. Andrew Luck Stanford teams are probably the best example because it was Andrew Luck and a bunch of dudes.
Yeah, Andrew Luck's conversation for best college quarterback of all time.
Yeah, but he was great in the league too. If Andrew Luck didn't retire, he'd still probably be playing.
Yeah,
which
Luck.
sucks to think about because that could be one of the best pro careers we've ever seen.
Well, it's crazy if you're a Colts fan. Like that team was like loaded for bear.
Yeah, they finally built up the offensive line, and it's still there. By the way, a lot of the pieces.
They still have a quarterback,
and the offensive line finally gets built, and Andrew Luck retires. Who knows what would have happened? I think you could have seen multiple Super Bowls with Andrew Luck. A-Man on YouTube says super recently Chase Young, great college career, hyped to be can't miss, and is super average.
Very true.
Chase Young had a couple of really nice games with my Niners. Just throw that
No,
out
but
there.
if you compare him to other Ohio State players, Joey Bosa, long career. Nick Bosa, long career. Chase Young has not been that. Like, he's been a good player, a decent to good player.
But he's been a role player.
Right. Like, if you draft the guy number 1 overall, it's funny. Would Jadeveon Clowney fit into a bust? Because he was great.
No, Jadeveon Clowney's had such a long career, and it's been good for the most part.
But it's like he was only dominant for 3 to 4 years.
With him and JJ. Right?
Yeah, that was that Houston team.
With him and JJ Watt. Look, no, you can't label Jadeveon Clowney as a bust. He was excellent. He was near the top of the league at one point. Maybe that next contract he got after the year.
Right, like number 1 overall pick worthy. I don't know.
Yeah, but right, because with like a Chase Young, you're expecting to get a Myles Garrett.
Right, like Chase Young. If you drafted Chase Young in the 3rd round, you'd be like, oh, he's had a great career.
Right.
When you go number 1 overall, that's a good point. Like you're expecting dominance for 10 years.
Mac Daddy on YouTube says not NFL, but Greg Oden is the worst NBA draft pick ever. Anthony Bennett too. Greg Oden, dude. Bennett. Watching Greg Oden play college, you talk about just dominance.
When you're taller than everyone.
He dominated everybody. The college basketball is another great conversation because you got guys like Sean Maye, who are legends in college, who never pan out in the NBA. Tyler Hansborough, who played in the NBA. He was with the Pacers for a while, but it was never really that great. Christian Laettner, good one. There's a ton of guys in college basketball.
Especially in college basketball, because you go, some guys are great for college, but like in the NBA draft process is different than any other draft process because you don't take guys based on what they did in college. You take guys based on their measurables and what they can be in the league. There's
only like 40 a year.
Right. Like there's so many guys that didn't do. Remember Patrick Williams, who would play for Florida State, came off the bench, but he was the 4th overall pick to the Bulls like 6-7 years ago because they fell in love with him in the draft process. Like that doesn't happen in the NFL.
Yeah. Man, this is fun. All right. San Diego Sports 760. This is going to be by far the hardest power rankings we've done all year long. And it's coming up next. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
The sport is furnished by Genuine in the NBA tonight. Knicks taking on the Celtics on NBC. That game will be at 5 o'clock. New York is currently favored by 1.5 right now. And the Thunder and Warriors game of the night will be in Golden State. Oklahoma City's 11.5 point favorite on the road. That game will be at 8 o'clock. Point total set at 223.5. This report is furnished by Genuine.
San Diego Sports 760, Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2. John and Jim will take over then. Actually just got an email from one of our listeners, Sammy, from Vincent saying earlier on today's show, you guys chatted with Rich Orenberger, or even earlier than that, Dan Patrick was interviewing Devin McCourty, and tardiness to meetings with the Patriots came up because of the Abdul Carter story that's out today with him missing the first 2 drives of last night's game. And Dan Patrick asked, didn't someone fake a car accident as an excuse for being late? Rich Orenberger faked a car accident one time as an excuse for being late. One of the guys on one of his Danettes knew the story about Rich because we posted that a couple years ago when Rich talked about purposely running into a church van on his way to the Patriots.
That makes Rich's response even funnier. He's like, he's got to take accountability. And I would go up to him and make sure it's known that that's not acceptable. Says the guy who's running cars into trees to do it.
If we had 2 more minutes with Rich, that's exactly where the conversation was going. We had to get out, so hopefully Sammy can make us some money. But yeah, Orenberger one time ran into a church van, and the video is online. You could not of him running into the church van, but of him telling the story in order to not be late for a Bill Belichick meeting with the Patriots.
That is fantastic.
Sammy, we got to do it. And I'll be honest, I don't know where I'm going. Still, I have my list in front of me. I don't feel great about it. This is by far the toughest week to do power rankings, but let's get them going.
NFL horns.
NFL horns, royalty free, baby. Let's trademark this.
Royalty free.
So here's the thing. You may laugh and call me a homer for this pick, but I think they've done enough to earn to be in this position, and I do have the defense for it. I'm putting the San Francisco 49ers at number 5 on my power rankings.
Okay.
Here's the reason why. A, they just beat the snot out of the Carolina Panthers in a game where Brock Purdy threw 3 interceptions. Matthew Stafford throws 2 picks. Rams lose to the Carolina Panthers. Now, the Rams are still ahead of the Niners on this list for me, don't worry. But the 49ers doing that, I do believe has earned them entrance into the top 5 because through all the injuries, through everything, they're closer right now to the top seed in the NFC than to being out of the postseason. You got to give them a lot of credit. They're playing great football at a great time. Niners are my number 5 team.
Okay, my number 5 team is Chicago Bears. They're the number 1 seed in the NFC. I got to give them a lot of credit for getting that finally not a real victory. A victory where they're not beating up on a bad quarterback, where they have a quarterback advantage, or a team that was below 500. I know the Eagles have been struggling. That is an impressive win to go into Philly on a standalone game in the way they won. It wasn't fluky. It wasn't a couple calls went their way. They straight up beat up the Eagles, a team that when the Eagles lose, it's because of offense. It's not usually because they get beat up. They've manhandled the Lions. They manhandled the Green Bay Packers on the road. So I got to give the Bears a lot of credit. They're my number 5 team right now. I think there's some room to improve, especially offensively. But and there's limitations, I think, on how far the Bears can go. But they're my number 5 team right now.
The Bears are actually my number 4 team. I might give them a little more credit than you did about the Eagles because I think that the Bears found a little bit of their identity. I think they found some ways to win, especially in postseason games when run games become a little more important, when weather becomes a little bit bigger factor. The emergence of Monangai as a star in this league, DeAndre Swift playing like he played against the Eagles. I'm looking at the Bears as a little more serious in the NFC after this week's game. Bears are my number 4 team. Sammy?
Denver Broncos number 4 for me. It's a tough thing with Denver for me.
Broncos fell out of my top 5. I'll be honest,
and I understand why. I'm not against that. Like, you know, I'm not a Denver Bronco fan, but I got to give them credit where it's due. The team is legit. I know Rich saw this differently. I was talking with him earlier. I think comparing Drake Maye and Bo Nix is asinine. Like, Drake Maye to me is so many levels above Bo Nix, and it's not even close. That's just my estimation. Now, I'll give Bo Nix credit, but if we look at how the Denver Broncos have won games this year, the Giants game, absolute collapse in the fourth quarter. The Chiefs game, really they won that game not because of Bo Nix, because Mahomes threw a horrible interception on the goal line. Look at last week against Washington. I thought some of the officiating in that game was terrible against Washington. The tripping penalty didn't go their way. Called an illegal formation, all this stuff. And I'm giving them credit for winning games because the Chiefs did this last year and they won games. And it didn't really make sense why they were winning games. They are a damn good football team. But right now, they're number 4 for me because I think even look at that Washington game. Washington found something. They rush 3, they drop everyone back in coverage, and they make Bo Nix read a defense. He threw the ball right to Bobby Wagner. Bo Nix.
Washington game is why they're not in my top 5. Like, how can you trust a team that against a backup quarterback at this point in the season and a Washington team that really has not put together anything all year long?
His defense was rough all year long.
Yeah. How can you trust a team that struggled like that against them? And then you go back on their schedule. Remember the international game against the Jets? That might be the worst game of the year.
Right. So I think the Broncos are going to get found out, but because of the record, because I have to give them credit, they are winning football games. They are number 4 for me.
Seattle Seahawks is my number 3 team. We haven't even talked about it. The drubbing that they just put on the Arizona Cardinals is kind of what the Seahawks have been doing all year long. In games where they need to, or where they're supposed to beat the other team, they don't just beat them. They beat them by a landslide. I think the Seahawks have some serious firepower. They might have the best wide receiver in football right now in Jackson Smith and Jigba. I really like what Seattle's doing. I think that they need to start giving more carries to Zach Charbonnet. I think he's emerged as a better runner than Kenneth Walker, but they're still in this weird 50-50 split. But give me the Seahawks as my number 3 team in the NFL.
I'm going to go Rams number 3. Now, I don't think that they'll end up number 3. I still think this team probably would be favored against any team in the NFL if they played, but I have to dock them some spots. They dropped a few from number 1 to me to number 3. The Rams, it was an uncharacteristic game. Stafford hadn't been throwing interceptions, threw a couple tough interceptions there. Carolina needed the game after losing to San Francisco the past week, so they needed it a little bit more than the Rams. You're not just going to run through the schedule in the NFL. That's why it's the best. It's any given Sunday. Any team can lose. I give the Panthers a lot of credit. I don't see the Rams having performances like that in the future, but I got to put we'll get to 1 and 2 later. I have to drop them to 3 because they lost.
Now I'm curious because my number 2 team is the Rams because they lost, and now they lost to the Panthers, which is a bad loss. I thought about dropping them further, but they have the win over the Seahawks earlier, which is why they stayed at 2 for me. And I do think that the Rams, most likely as of right now, if I had to pick a Super Bowl team, it is the Los Angeles Rams. Yeah. But they are my number 2 team as of right now. So who the hell is your 2?
Seahawks. I got to give them credit.
Okay.
I kept them out last week. And I love me some Sam Darnold. I love what they've been doing, but I have seen them beating up on kind of bad teams. And it was the same thing this week. They played Brosmer, an undrafted rookie, picked him off 4 times. But I got to give them credit. They are winning football games. You go back to that Rams game, they lost by 2, despite Darnold throwing 4 picks in that one. The Seahawks are playing really good football right now. Them getting some home games in Seattle. It's cold as hell. It's rainy. That's a big advantage up there for Seattle if they're able to. They keep winning ball games. They got to be number 2 for me.
We can say it at the exact same time. You ready? 1, 2, 3.
New England Patriots.
Patriots are our number 1 team right now. And look, they're dominating everybody they play against right now. And Drake Maye looks fantastic. The moment does not look too big for him. He's making plays. Name more than 3 New England wide receivers.
Kayshon Boutte, Stephon Diggs, and
after that,
is it not Hodgins, but
Hunter Henry, tight end? But seriously, play that thought experiment with your friends because I was trying to do this last night with mine. And the truth of the matter is Drake Maye's making it work with whatever's around him right now. And Kayshon Boutte's playing excellent. Stephon Diggs is playing good. I would say good is the max I would give Stephon Diggs.
I think Boutte's the number 1 in the offense.
He is. And it's been fun to watch. And New England has this toughness, this grit that I think Mike Vrabel has had an immediate impact on that defense. And it's been fun to see, man. I think that the Patriots absolutely are good enough to win a Super Bowl this year. I don't know if they can do it.
You know what's crazy about all 5 teams I put in my power rankings?
Tell me about it.
And I'm not discrediting myself because these are the top 5 teams up to this point. Outside of the Rams, I'm hard pressed to pick any of these teams to actually win the Super Bowl.
I think I'm in a very similar spot.
Like I could easily see both teams. In my top 5, I had 2 teams in the AFC. I had the Broncos and the Patriots. I could see both of them getting beat in the first round. I really could. This is what makes the NFL.
Well, think about Buffalo could be going into Denver. I think that's how it's actually slotted.
I would pick
now.
Buffalo in that game.
So would I. It's the AFC postseason is going to be insanity. I love it.
I really like. I had to drop them a ton because obviously it was a terrible loss to the Bengals. I really feel like the Ravens are going to win that division. I think they're going to beat Pittsburgh this week. I think the Ravens are going to get hot right at the right time. I think they're going to be hell for some teams in the postseason.
Look, we talk about this with baseball so much. It's about being healthy and having a couple of hot guys, like in terms of pitching when you head into the postseason. NFL, if you can get healthy a few weeks before and you really start to gel as the season's coming to an end, you could make some serious problems in the postseason.
Well, in this Sunday night football, before we go to break, the Sunday night football game between the Chiefs and the Texans is huge because if depending on the winner, the Chiefs have to win out to get in. The Chiefs can beat anybody, like Mahomes said, but can lose to anybody. So they're going to be held for someone if they get in. If the Texans win the game, you start looking at the Texans as, wait, they've won all these games. They have the best defense in the NFL, arguably. If Stroud can give you something, they could be a scary team as a 7 seed in a bracket. Like it's really hard to predict. It's going to make for a fun AFC playoff field.
All right, we did it. That was by far the hardest power rankings of the season. I literally couldn't decide at 5, so I just went with the homer pick. But it's not outlandish.
No, I don't think it's outlandish. I think
the offense is cooking.
I thought about your Niners, but I couldn't put them over the Bears, who just beat the Eagles.
That's fair. Absolutely. All right, it's San Diego Sports 760. You're listening live on the iHeartRadio app. We'll close this thing up coming up next. Get you ready for John and Jim and give us some final thoughts.
We have some breaking news out of college football, by the way, that we'll get to on the other side.
What? Breaking news next. It's San Diego Sports 760. San Diego Sports 760 for a final time here today. It's Ben Fletcher and Sammy Long with you till 2. John and Jim will take over then. All right. After a little bit of research and looking at a bunch of different projections, seems like to me the most common thing that keeps popping up is San Diego State's going to be playing in the Potato Bowl in Boise, Idaho, which is a disappointment considering where they were just about a week ago now. But still a big bowl game on, I believe, the 22nd on Monday at noon Pacific time. I think that's right. So if that's the case, San Diego State will have another shot here to get to 10 wins on the season. And I think yours truly is heading out to Boise, Idaho. So let's eat some taters, huh? But nothing's official till I think this Sunday is when all the bowl games get official.
I know announced. Idaho was atop your list of places you wanted to go.
You know, the Hawaii Bowl's a thing. That wouldn't be too bad.
Vegas would have been fun. Miami would have been fun.
Vegas would have been pretty nice. What bowl game is played in Vegas that the Mountain West is eligible for? I don't think there is one.
I don't know. There's got to be a game at Allegiant.
There's got to be a bowl game there. I don't know that the Mountain West is eligible for any of them. But you look at what San Diego State would be eligible for. I think it's the Potato Bowl in Boise. It's the Frisco Bowl. It's the Albuquerque Bowl. It's
some real hot spots we're naming off right now.
It's the Hawaii Bowl, which is a hot spot.
That one's a hot spot.
And I think that one's on Christmas Eve. You tell me my wife wouldn't have loved that as a Christmas present? That would have been huge.
That's the one. I'm gonna let everyone pick which one is better than the other three.
Now, I've never been to Boise. It could be awesome.
Yeah, it's not Hawaii though.
Probably not. But Amber Waves of Grain, isn't that all about that area of the world?
Boise. What is Boise's thing? Like
potatoes.
That's what they export?
Yeah.
I thought we got all our potatoes from Ireland.
I think it's you must be eating some expensive potatoes. I think most of them are grown right here in the US of A, baby.
What is okay, Boise. Have you ever met anyone from Boise?
Kat Fisher lived there for like 4 years.
Get out of here.
She did radio in Boise, Idaho. 4 years.
Are you serious?
Swear to God.
I thought she was from Seattle.
That's where she's from. And she moved from Seattle to Boise. I think COVID times and lived there for a while. I
apologize to anyone who's like their home is Boise, but
look, I
ain't catching me dead out in Boise, Idaho.
Literally the only thing in my life that I know about Boise, Idaho is that there's a blue turf.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I know about potatoes, and I know I might be going there in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Well, at least the team won't be distracted from external activities, so they'll be locked in on the game.
Yeah, but me and Rich could have been distracted by external activities.
Vegas?
When we're going to find the best steakhouse in Boise, Idaho, we're going to go tear it up for a night, if that is where San Diego State ends up. But I think that goes to like Rich's point when we had him on earlier. We were asking him about the wrap up of the San Diego State football season, and maybe it ends with a Boise Bowl. I think that Sean Lewis would have the guys geared up and ready to go. 10 wins is that universal benchmark in college football for having a great season. And that's what it would be for San Diego State. Coming off a 3-win year, putting yourself in a position to get to 10 wins is huge. And now the biggest part for Sean Lewis and that staff over at San Diego State, I would say job A, keep Rob Ulrich, the defensive coordinator for San Diego State. Had a hell of a year this year. Job B, you got to start scrounging up some money. You're going to have guys that need to get paid on this team. And that's just the state of college football now. You look around, we were talking about Billy O'Brien at Boston College, who just had a 2-10 year. The university seems somehow committed to raising $50 million in NIL money for the length of his contract. That's an absurd amount of money for a team that just went 2-10. San Diego State just had a 9-win season. Now it's kind of like looking at the fan base, looking at Aztec fans and being like, look, if you want this to keep going in that direction, I have to start finding some big dollars.
Right, like college football is big business. So LSU just paid
Sammy, you and I got to go find a billionaire.
Yeah.
Maybe kidnap him.
I mean, $91 million for Lane Kiffin. They're committed to spending $25 to $30 million per season.
Aren't they going to be paying him for every game that Ole Miss wins in the college football playoff?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Dude, if I'm Lane Kiffin, I'm betting the other way. Dude, so you're getting paid no matter what.
I think you'd get in some trouble for that, Sammy. I really do.
Listen.
But let's go back to this idea about kidnapping a billionaire, because I think we could pull it off. Between you and me, we have the brains, we have the capability, and we have a reach.
I just wish we won circa and then, well, I mean, I'm not giving away all my money.
Not all of it, but some of it.
Listen, if I'm giving away money, they better win. Like,
yeah, I would also have that stipulation.
I need a statue out front of San Diego State if I'm giving my circa money to that.
Could you imagine a statue of Sammy just hands unfolded? Welcome, my children.
Alumni.
God, Sammy's going to become a cult leader. He should not win Circus Survivor next year. All right, that's it for us today. John and Jim coming up next, along with Brent Sperry, of course. Hey, stay tuned because next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, 2 of our biggest days of the year, the iHeartRadio Children's Give-a-thon. Can't wait for it. Lots of fun still to come. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.